Welcome to The Lonely Star.
Ooh.
Our tagline is, keep asking questions.
Right.
Keep digging, keep learning. Or sometimes the truth is stranger than fiction.
That's good. And today we're embarking on a deep dive into something you probably use every day.
Yeah.
And how it connects to Cold War espionage.
Yeah, it's...
Think credit cards.
Oh, wow.
And Soviet spies.
Okay.
Intrigued.
Very.
Ain't bad.
So you shared some fascinating material with us.
I did.
It's
Hope you enjoyed it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We've got covert listening devices. We've got the technology behind modern contactless payments.
Yeah.
And I think our mission today is to kind of unpack this seemingly disparate information and reveal a hidden link that might just make you look at your wallet
Totally.
and the world around you a little differently.
Definitely.
So are you ready to step back into the Cold War with me for a moment?
Let's go.
All right. So one of the documents you provided details a remarkable piece of Soviet ingenuity called the Thing. It's also known as the Great Seal Bug.
It is.
And it sounds like something ripped from the pages of a spy novel.
Right.
So tell us about it.
Well, the audacity of it.
Yeah.
You know, especially when you think about, the technology that was available, in the 40s and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it's, I think one of the earliest examples of a passive listening device.
Right.
A true testament to ingenuity.
Yeah. So this was a gift, right?
This wasn't
some sort of token
of
exactly.
international diplomacy.
So in 1945, as World War II had just ended, the
Yes.
Soviet Union presented the U.S. ambassador to the USSR W. Averell Harriman with a beautiful hand-carved replica of the Great Seal of the United States.
Yes.
And this was meant as a symbol of friendship, but hidden inside, that's where the Thing resided.
Yes.
The gift itself contained the vulnerability.
Exactly.
And it's interesting to note that the documents suggest this gift wasn't immediately displayed prominently.
Yeah.
It moved around a bit before eventually ending up in the ambassador's residential library.
I see.
So this wasn't your standard microphone with a battery pack, right?
No, not at all.
How on earth did this thing operate?
So it didn't have a power source.
Okay.
Which is, this is what's really kind of cool about it.
Yeah.
It had no active electronic components.
Wow.
Instead, it was a very, very small capacitive membrane connected to an antenna.
All right.
And the source material describes it as a passive cavity resonator or a passive repeater.
I see.
So it only became active when it was illuminated by a radio signal.
What?
Of a very specific frequency.
Okay.
That the Soviets would beam at it from an external transmitter.
Like shining a radio spotlight on it.
Exactly.
Okay.
So if you think about it, when the Soviets wanted to eavesdrop on conversation happening in the ambassador's library, they would aim a strong radio frequency beam at the Great Seal from the nearby location.
Right.
So that could have been like another building.
Right.
Could have even been like a vehicle.
Yeah, right.
Parked outside.
Gotcha.
And imagine like sound waves from voices in the room.
Yeah.
Hitting that tiny membrane inside the thing.
Okay.
So these sound waves would cause the membrane to vibrate ever so slightly.
Okay, so I'm picturing these tiny vibrations.
Yeah.
What happens next?
So those tiny vibrations would then cause a change in the electrical capacitance of the device.
Right.
Which in turn would subtly alter or modulate the radio waves that were constantly hitting it.
Okay.
And being reflected back.
So it's like...
You can think of it like slightly changing the echo of the radio waves bouncing off the thing in response to the sound vibrations.
So the conversations were essentially hitching a ride on the radio waves being bounced off this bug.
Exactly.
That's incredible.
So a receiver specifically tuned to the frequency of that original radio boom aimed at the thing would then pick up these modulated radio waves, and it would demodulate them.
Okay.
Essentially stripping away the radio carrier wave and extracting the audio signal.
Wow.
Which was the private conversations taking place in the ambassador's library.
So this is a remarkably simple yet incredibly effective,
very effective
piece of engineering for its time.
Yeah.
And this went on for an unbelievable amount of time. It's just
it's shocking.
7 years, potentially. Yeah. This completely passive device was relaying sensitive diplomatic conversations.
Just think about it. Like for 7 years, this thing could have been relaying all kinds of information.
Yeah.
And they had no idea.
That's wild.
I know.
So how was it finally discovered after all that time?
So it was discovered quite by accident.
Really?
A real slope of luck for the West.
Okay.
So in 1951, a British radio operator working at the British Embassy picked up snippets of American conversations
on
what turned out to be an open Soviet Air Force radio channel.
What?
So it seems like the signals being used to illuminate the bug were somehow bleeding over into this other frequency.
Like the British operator raised the alarm.
Eventually, yes.
Okay.
So the British alerted the Americans.
Right.
And after some investigation, the U.S. State Department finally confirmed the presence of the thing.
When was this?
In 1952.
Wow.
During Ambassador George F. Kennan's tenure.
Okay.
And it was meticulously hidden inside the wooden carving of the Great Seal.
Yeah.
Right behind the eagle's beak.
Okay.
And apparently there were even tiny, almost imperceptible holes drilled in the wood to allow sound waves to reach that crucial membrane inside.
So that they could...
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, then this whole thing was kept highly secret for many years.
That is incredible.
It is.
This level of Cold War intrigue, ingenuity, it's just mind-blowing.
Uh-huh.
But you mentioned a connection to something I use almost daily.
Yes.
My credit card.
Yes.
How does this piece of Cold War spy tech relate to what's in my wallet?
So if we fast forward several decades to today, and consider the now widespread use of RFID, radio frequency identification, and you see these tags everywhere now, in your credit cards for contactless payments, in your passport, even in library books, and for tracking all sorts of inventory.
Yeah, those little chips that allow you to just tap your card at a payment terminal or quickly scan items without a direct physical connection.
Exactly.
That's really interesting.
So this is where that echo of Cold War ingenuity really resonates.
Oh, okay.
So much like the thing we just discussed.
Yeah.
Many RFID tags don't have their own internal power source.
Really?
Instead, they're powered remotely.
Wow.
By an incoming radio signal from a reader.
So are you saying that just like the Soviets beamed a radio signal at the Great Seal to activate the thing? The payment terminal at the coffee shop is beaming a signal at my credit card.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so when your contactless card comes within a certain range of an RFID reader, like the one at the checkout, the reader emits radio waves. These waves induce a tiny electrical current in the antenna embedded within the RFID chip in your card. And this small jolt of power is then enough to allow the chip to briefly wake up and transmit the necessary payment information back to the reader to complete the transaction.
So the underlying principle of a device being activated and then transmitting data, whether it's audio from a secret bug or payment information from my credit card, all using radio waves powered by an external source, is fundamentally the same.
Pretty much.
So a top secret Cold War listening device and the technology that lets me buy a latte in seconds are very similar.
The source material you shared even draws this connection quite explicitly.
Really?
Stating that most like Therabin's thing are powered remotely by an incoming signal.
That's incredible.
So it highlights this shared characteristic of being activated by and responding to radio frequency energy. The thing was designed to transmit audio. Your credit card is designed to transmit payment data, but the core mechanism of passive communication, activated by radio waves, is remarkably similar.
This is mind-blowing.
It is.
When you stop to think about it. One was a tool of clandestine espionage during a global standoff hidden in plain sight in a diplomatic gift. And the other is a commonplace technology designed for everyday convenience.
I know.
Yet they both rely on the same fundamental technological DNA. So the clever minds that conceived the thing in the 1940s, working under the intense pressures of the Cold War, unknowingly pioneered a technique that would later become a cornerstone of the wireless technologies and now take for granted. It's a potent reminder that innovations, even those born in secrecy, for very specific purposes, can have surprisingly broad and unforeseen applications.
Amazing.
It really makes you consider the unexpected pathways that technology can take. So this incredible piece of spy technology developed in the shadows of global conflict shares this fundamental operating principle with the technology that allows us to make a quick contactless payment for a cup of coffee. It's a strange, almost poetic thought.
It is.
And as the article you provided also touches upon, this connection takes on another layer of intrigue when you consider the broader context of how technology can be used for tracking and monitoring.
Absolutely.
Given that the thing originated in the realm of espionage, this link to modern technologies that, in their own way, can collect and transmit data about our activity, definitely gives you something else to contemplate.
It does.
So we've gone from a hidden bug in the Great Seal to the chip in your credit card. It's a stark reminder that even seemingly innocuous technologies often have roots in surprising and sometimes shadowy places. So what stands out to you most about this connection between Cold War spying and everyday convenience?
I think it's just, like, it's hard to even wrap your head around the fact that that something that, was used for espionage could be so, commonplace now.
Yeah.
It's just kind of crazy to think about.
Does understanding the lineage of these technologies change how you view them?
Oh, for sure.
Maybe the next time you tap your card?
Yeah, definitely.
It certainly gives you food for thought.
It does.
Well, thank you for diving deep with us into the Lonely Star. Keep asking questions.
That's right.
Keep digging, keep learning. Or sometimes the truth is stranger than fiction.
Or sometimes.
Goodbye for now.
Goodbye.
And we invite you to join us for our next deep dive.
We'll see you then.